Aren't you a little too old for those? No. Welcome to Existentialism and the absurdity of life. I have struggled to finally sit down to record this. This is the third moral philosophy that we will have covered, and it really did throw me for a loop because today we are talking about existentialism. And my goodness, I feel like out of all three that we've talked about so far, whether it is moral particularism, ethical pragmatism, or now existentialism, this is the one that I gravitate towards the most out of them. But again, I'm not going to label myself any of these things because ultimately for next week's video, it's going to be which elements I'm pulling in. But before we even know what to pull in to use to better our lives, we got to figure out what it is. And this is the beauty of it. So here we go. Existentialism is that we exist. We exist. Existentialism. It's right in the root word. And the bottom line is that everything is up to you to decide what to do with your life, what meaning to give it, how you want to live it. Existentialism is a trip. First and foremost, you are applauded and rewarded for existing. That's huge right there. And I feel like when I first embraced the fact that, yes, as a human being, this miracle of life that we have, that I exist, I'm here. It's really quite fascinating because there are other ways of looking at life. And there's also, organized religious ways of giving you moral groundwork, ways telling you how to live your life. But existentialism, out of all of them, to me, provides the true freedom. The freedom is we exist. We're here. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't have any say in my consciousness one day coming online. And that's something that is really interesting when you think about it. Because so much of life, all of these rules, all of these things, these prisons of our mind that we do and how we treat each other, if we just first and foremost realize that every person alive on this planet didn't choose to exist. Now, people chose for them. Like, I have children. My wife and I love each other tremendously. We wanted to start a family. But my kids, I know they're happy to exist, but my kids didn't choose that. We chose that for them. And I feel like this is this continual nature of human beings. Maybe it's just that we keep trying to force this sense of control over us. But this is why it's taken me this long to record this video, because I did stare into the void. The void is the fact that existentialism acknowledges the absurdity of literally everything. Everything is absurd. You know who? Bringing it back to, superheroes and toys. The comedian. So in different points of my life, I haven't been quite as optimistic. Sometimes I would embrace the Raphael nature of life and, I'm an optimistic realist. And I still am. However, I can't shake the fact that so many of the ills of the world today that we are all suffering from are caused for no good reason, because we did this ourselves. We did things, we made choices, people made choices to negatively impact one another. And of course, there are their own reasons and perspectives for why, but stripping away, forget it all. Money drives so many of us crazy. It's given really awful people power and influence to negatively impact the world. Money does keep the lights on, but ultimately it's absurd because we made it up. All of this is made up. Borders, sovereign lines, we made it up. They're lines on a map. Everything is absurd when you actually stop and just step back and realize what this thing of life that we're here, that we exist. We're on this planet that technically gives us everything that we need to survive. And I know that we're at a point of human history where we are trying to thrive. Or at least that's the bulk of my life. We were in this thriving, trying to move towards this bigger and brighter future, which doesn't really seem like the case at this moment, which is unfortunate. And again, just only highlights to me how absurd life is. Now, I'm using the word absurd, and I know that it can generate like, yeah, what is this? But bear with me. Stick with me for this. Here are some aspects I also want you to know. Existence precedes essence. So humans are born first and must actively build their own purpose, nature, and meaning. What's the meaning to life? Why are we here? I've pondered these questions many times. What is my specific purpose? That's literally the question, right? This is why every human asks that at the end, at some point. But that's typically the end. We go to visit the Dalai Lama. What's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is what we choose to give it. It's sad that people either are ignorant or blind to the fact that they have as much moment-to-moment control on how they impact other people. It could be that. Or they could just be so self-serving that they are only on this earth to serve themselves. It's a very selfish mentality. And again, we see it in the world. So yes, so it's up to us to give meaning. Radical freedom. This is another big concept of this. Again, you're the author of your own life. That's how I try to live my life. I get one go around. Why not? Why can't I spend time doing things that I love, spending time with people that I care about? It's fleeting. My life is fleeting every day. I feel the sands of time. I feel like right before I started, I looked at myself, oof, I'm getting tired today. Jeez. Of course, the absurd, as I've been mentioning, the conflict between humanity's natural desire to find meaning and the indifferent, silent universe we inhabit.
Life makes no sense. You're on a planet right now. You think you're in America? Zoom out. You're on a space rock floating in nothingness, infinite nothingness, and the infinite nothingness is expanding. That means endlessness is getting bigger. That makes no sense.
That's actually, like, again, we're God, Pete Holmes. If you haven't checked out Pete Holmes, I'm recommending him. Go watch one of his stand-ups. It's the best. And yeah, we were on a floating rock through space. Like, we're worried about paying bills on time, and I know all of those things matter, but think about the stress that we've caused when we are just specks on a planet floating through infinite nothing with other planets and then other galaxies. And here we go. And you're going to listen to someone tease you about liking action figures. Who the hell do they think they are? Nothing matters. Everything matters and nothing matters. That is existentialism. Like, it's up to us as people to determine where we spend our time and energy, what's going to be meaningful. The internet has made me very sad because so many people choose to spend their finite amount of time and energy each day spewing hate and vile, awful things on the internet. And I don't fault them, because I don't think a lot of these people believe in a lot of this stuff, because I think deep down, we all know we have so many innate animal instincts that are imprinted in us genetically, but also how we treat each other. Like, our own morals are built in. I do not want to see harm befall another person, an animal, and I know that there are people that will make that choice and will gravitate towards that choice. But that's what we're just trying to help people through communication and talking and just understanding each other's perspectives. And once again, I'm not going to pretend that there isn't a tiny percentage of people that no amount of talking or negotiating or logic will matter. But for us normies, the bulk, the working class people who live and interact with each other, we're the ones that move this planet around and keep all the things going. We have to really prioritize how we speak to each other. And hopefully, again, step back and Because again, I've been judged for enjoying action figures. I know that. Like, if I say I spent $150 on this, I know there are people in my life that will groan. And why? But this is because of what he represents to me. This He-Man represents a massive chunk of my childhood. How many adults do you know that are messed up probably from something from childhood? So, like I said, I like using toys to hopefully provide a metaphor or an analogy to other things in life. Who are any of us to judge the things that we enjoy, that bring us happiness, that do not, and here's the big caveat, do not negatively impact other people? Why do we feel like we have to say anything? So I always go back to, again, guys, I have young children, so I have been living and breathing the preschool, kindergarten, first grade years. And that's where, in Yambonia, we live by the golden rule. And I'm going to remind you of that because somewhere after kindergarten, we stop reminding each other of that fact. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And also, it's not always what you say, but how you say it. And I feel like these are big guiding things that have ultimately made me a happier person in my day-to-day just existence. But again, it's also pretty easy to make that a priority when you realize how ridiculous and silly so much of these other things that have caused myself stress, and I'm sure you too, that are these just figments of our imagination that we then signed into a law or a policy or a rule. So ultimately, I'm just saying, like, we're on the right track, folks. We're on the right track. And if you are a collector, you just tell people, what do you like? Like, one more quick story. When I found myself embracing existentialist principles, aspects, it really reminded me of even my own youth, because I was a kid that my parents wanted me to just be exposed to everything. So try everything. On one hand, it's great. I'm well-rounded. On the other hand, I never became an expert in any specific field. So I was always kind of like second tier. I was a guy coming off the bench. I was B team in the band type of thing. But I do like that I have this greater appreciation for so many of these things that we offer as human beings in life. And I just say all of that because, as someone who I wrestled, I played baseball, and I was in the marching bands and the concert bands. So I never understood why, walking both worlds, how come we uphold the athletics and lift up the athletes, but the band kids are dorks? That never made sense to me. Again, it's the absurdity of this thing called life and what societal values we put out. And we add to that every day with what we post and what we share and what we type out and put on the internet. So again, with the absurdity of existentialism and all of this stuff, folks, enjoy your toys if that is your jam. If you just like vanilla poses up on a shelf, then do that. If you like posing them up and taking a photograph, then do that. If you like going and looking at birds, go bird watch. If you like hiking, go for a hike. Do you see where I'm going with this? We have to carve out what is important to us as people, and that is our relationships with the people we care about, how we impact the community around us, and just trying to find time in each day to do something that you enjoy. Make art. Do something. There's so much good. There's so much good in this absurdity. I hope you enjoyed these ramblings, because I know that that's what it is, but that is also existentialism. And I'm not here to give you a big, we're not in a lecture hall. I'm not here to give you notes and take things down. So I didn't go super deep into all of the famous philosophers that talked about it. But this is why existentialism is the one out of all three that I do embrace the most aspects, because I use this knowledge And I use this perspective of the absurd. I embrace the absurd to show me and guide me as to what really matters in life. And like I said, it's how I talk and treat people, and I try to consider others. I work very hard at trying to put other people first in moments. And that's where existentialism has helped me. And I get it. It's very much like One Bad Day. That's why I love Batman as well. Batman and the Joker, two sides of the same coin. Awful, traumatic experiences in this absurdity of our existence. And one person chose to use their time and energy and power and wealth and yada yada, but to do right by people and to make sure that they never do those things again, or that no one else experiences what he went through. And then you have the Joker, who embraces the absurdity and figures but he applies that to cause harm to people and to hurt people. So, so what are you going to do? What type of person do you want to be? There's one more thing that I did want to cover. So here we go. It's about angst and responsibility. And as a teacher of middle school with adolescents, this is where I know that this has been my strength in helping students come to understandings about their choices. But this is big because this affects you too. This was a big life revelation for me, a big life epiphany when I had this myself and I went, oh, angst and responsibility. So existentialism is the realization that you are solely responsible for your actions, choices, and who you become. Now, it can cause existential dread, but by accepting this responsibility that it is you're not blaming circumstances or society, then you are, in terms of existentialism, living your most authentic life. And as I've been saying, for me, that the biggest thing is how I treat people and how I look to people, seeing the good in people, knowing that every person is capable of good and bad, and helping them make better choices for themselves and those around them. But it is a very, very tough pill to swallow. Taking any kind of responsibility when things don't go your way is very challenging, but I know you're up for it because you're here. And you're the type of person, if you're listening to me, I know I've been been doing the work my whole life, accepting my mistakes, my stupidity, and trying to get better. I know you can too. I know you can too. When you really think about every single moment to moment, what decision you're faced with. And like I said, I guide with what's the outcome for those around me. Another interesting piece. Once again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I hope it does give you some good talking points to shut down any critics in your life who might have disparaging or side eyes for you because you are a toy collector. But there are plenty of other things out in the world that I know I could badmouth and don't. And I don't because I'm talking about hobbies and things like it might be silly to me, but this is silly to somebody else. That's the whole thing. So be kind. Be kind to people. Be kind. And if you haven't checked out those other videos, please go back. It all kick-started when my wife asked me, what is the end game for my collection? That then led into moral particularism and ethical pragmatism. And here we go with existentialism. Next week, we have the combination of how I'm going to embrace elements from all three to be a better collector and human. And I appreciate you being here. So thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. And hey, look at that. Streams, unboxings. You want to hang out? Well, let's listen to more life talk and toy talk. There they are. Give one a click. Appreciate you. Have a good one. Peace.